Uh, Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry. We've just fixed the technical issues. Um, and also, I've confirmed to Pratik that he could not join us because the internet connection was really bad there. So I will just begin the uh, the session. Maybe I will need my team to start accepting the participants by then. Thank you.
Since the sunshine comes from the east, till the light of the dark is coming, we are all up in our eyes, we are all up in our heart, we are all up in our mind, under the same sky. Not only one in blood and land, not only one on skin's color and language. We have one spirit, we're one in struggle. Let's raise our dream together. We can, we are young together. Hey, hey, ah, ah, hey, ah, ah. It's time to get up. Hold a hand, build somebody. Set to go, we step together. One spirit to go. Great. Hey, ah, ah, hey, ah, ah, hey, ah, ah. Not only one in blood and land, not only one on skin's color and language. We have one spirit, we're one in struggle. Let's reach our dream together. We're young, we can. We are young together. Hey, ah, ah, ah. Hey, ah, ah. It's time to get up. Hold a hand, build somebody. Set to go, we step together. One spirit to go. Great. Hey, ah, ah. Hey, ah, ah. Hey, ah, ah. The best thing to the
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ASEAN Youth Organization event, the AYDF, which stands for the okay. Let me continue. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the ASEAN Youth Digital Forum 2021, presented by the ASEAN Youth Organization, and welcome to our first session of the AYDF, the webinar on youth and digital literacy. So before we begin, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Handy. I am the Project Development Director of the ASEAN Youth Organization, and I will be moderating this session with you all. And I hope that the session will go smoothly and can bring positive insights and also new knowledge perspectives to all the participants today. I really appreciate your presence. Even some of the participants have joined us since 1 hour ago. So this is very overwhelming for us, and also we overwhelming, but we feel so happy and excited to welcome and present you this session. So first of all, please allow me to explain a little bit about the AYDF 2021 with the theme of Youth and Digital Transformation, a step towards digital community, and along with the celebration of the 54th ASEAN Day. The ASEAN Youth Digital Forum, or the AYDF 2021, serves as a platform for youths across ASEAN and beyond to learn together of how youths can benefit from the current digitalization process, as well as to share knowledge of how youths should prepare themselves in solving challenges that arises in this digital age. And the AYDF 2021 consists of a series of webinars and workshops, as well as a focus group discussion, where ASEAN youths are hoped to produce an ASEAN youth statement related to the AYDF topics. This particular webinar sessions aims to help young people to better understand the importance of digital literacy skills and how you as youth in the region and maybe beyond. Why I said beyond, because we also receive registrants from other outside ASEAN countries like Chile, Mauritius, and some countries in the Middle East, as well as Kazakhstan and in Central Asia and so on. So we hope that all of you can learn how to harness this digital literacy skills in order to be digitally competitive in this advanced digital era. So for today's session, we have a guest of honor, Her Excellency Artauli Arampi Tobing, the Indonesian representative to the ASEAN IPR Governing Council. Good afternoon, Her Excellency, and thank you for joining us. We are very honored to have you today. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Mas Budi.
Thank you, Your Excellency. So if I may proceed, today's webinar, we will also be graced by two great speakers, the experts in this field related to the digital literacy. So the first speaker, we have Ms. Dia. Ms. Dia is the Executive Secretary of the Center for Digital Society of Universitas Gadjah Mada in Indonesia. Good afternoon, Ms. Dia. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Hani. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I will be proceeding to the second speaker. We have Ms. Candice Lau, Education Associate of the UNICEF Vietnam, to grace our session again. Good afternoon, Ms. Candice.
Good afternoon. Happy to see all the youth from around ASEAN and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are so grateful to have all the speakers in today's session. So next, I will be try to explain a little bit to you about the housekeeping rules that we will have today. Let me share the screen right now. Yeah, this one. So we do hope that all participants must turn off their microphone upon entry in the webinar room, and also to support the connection to run well. Maybe we expect the participants to turn off their video as well, and the participants will get the chance to turn on their microphone only when invited by the moderator. We kindly appreciate your cooperation to change your name format into the following. For participants, and you can change into participant and then your name. For speakers, and also the others can change your name into speaker and then your name. And for the AYOT, maybe AYO and then their name. This webinar will be recorded and live streamed on AYO Facebook page. And during the Q&A session, participants are expected to be actively involved and ask questions in the chat box by using the format of your name, institution, or affiliation, and then your questions in the chat box. The organizing committee will select 3 questions to be addressed to our speakers. Please be respectful and mindful of your statements or questions. Each certificate will only be provided to for participants who join at least two AYDF series of events and fill in the evaluation feedback form which will be delivered in the chat box before the session ends. So the organizing committee will send the link to the evaluation feedback form in the chat box later. And the e-certificate will be provided for the participants at least 14 days to the latest a month after the event. So please be patient to all the participants. And last but not least, please respect each other, engage in our webinar, and we hope you will find interesting insight from this event. Well, okay, next one. Just to mention about our partners of the AYDF 2021. So AYDF 2021 is supported by the ASEAN Chief Information Officer Association, ASEAN Human Development Organization, GRAB, Center for Digital Society, or CFDS, Universitas Gadjah Mada. We also have some media partners, among others, are the National Council of Youth Organizations in Korea, Christian University of Indonesia, Prince of Songkla University, and Sugya Pranata Catholic University. So let me begin and proceed to the next session. Before we begin to the discussion, let's hear an opening remark and message for youths from our guest of honor, Her Excellency Artauli Erampi Tobing, from the Indonesian representative to the ASEAN IPR Governing Council. Your Excellency, you may have the next 5 minutes.
Thank you, Handi. Hello, everyone. I'm privileged to be here with all of you, and thank you for inviting me, Handi. You know, when Agatha first approached me informally to ask if I would be willing to say a few words at this webinar on youth and digital literacy, I did not immediately say yes. But you know, deep inside, I felt, how could I say no? Because I actually do have a special place in my heart for AYO. And I'm very proud to see how well you have developed from the short video that you have shown earlier. So congratulations, AYO, keep it up. And you know, the reason why I have this interest in being here is because the youth is really a special time in one's life, when one gets new ideas, new initiatives, a time to explore and test one's creativity. And most of all, being young brings new hopes and aspirations. Now, let's look at this survey, which was done by the World Economic Forum, which does an annual survey. And it said that the young in Southeast Asia have shown remarkable resilience in the face of COVID-19. According to the said study, the pandemic has created a permanent digital transformation for young people. ASEAN youths have used the lockdown to learn new skills and new ideas. At the same time, young entrepreneurs have accelerated the move to e-commerce. If COVID-19 has been a test of resilience and adaptability, young people in Southeast Asia have definitely passed with flying colors. By turning to the digital world to stay connected, they have emerged as more creative, skilled, and ready to grasp opportunities in a post-COVID world. In spite of difficulties with poor internet connection in some areas, the picture that emerges is of a digital transformation that has created a tech-savvy generation, which the forum says will be a key driver for ASEAN's inclusive and sustainable growth. Should we all be happy with this finding? Of course, we should be, but let us not be complacent, because there is the other side of the story. Take a look at, for example, at the social media platform, which has a lot to offer with such a wealth of information. Of course, actually, there's nothing wrong with the use of the social media, as it is indeed beneficial. Remember, we are all constant users of the social media. Yet behind all this, there is the challenge whether all this wealth of information we are picking up that goes really fast is all for real or not. At the same time, excessive use of the social media can also have a negative impact Among others, for example, for the teens, it has been a distraction for them, disrupting their sleep and exposing them, among others, to bullying, rumor spreading, unrealistic views of other people's lives, of what we believe should look like, and of course, peer pressure. There are also cyber frauds, invasion of privacy, offensive messages and images. There are also studies that have proven that social media changes how we think and also shifts how we reason. What's more, social media can affect our mental health, and there's a good amount of evidence that it makes people perhaps more anxious and depressed. So what do we do then? I know very well you know the answer. The magic word is digital literacy, which basically means the ability to understand and use technology. It relates to the ability to find, use, and create information online in a beneficial and useful way. Digital literacy also means knowing the limitations of technology and understanding the dangers and precautions that the use of technology requires. Therefore, digital literacy means having the skills you need to live, learn, and work in a society where communication and access to information is increasingly done through digital technologies like the internet platforms, social media, and mobile devices. Digital literacy also means the ability to understand how to use the web browsers, search engines, etc. Anyway, you know it all better than I do. So what is needed is to be able to have all this digital literacy. Perhaps some of the magic words is critical thinking, the ability not to take things at face value, and keeping your personal life and social media separate. And do not be easily swayed by ideas that are given by certain popular figures. Have more self-awareness and closer look at the content of the messages that are shared. Why not use the social media more for self-improvement, spreading positive thoughts and ideas? Why not help and create contents that will be more helpful for others? Digital literacy will keep you more connected, better informed, and happier than seniors who don't use the internet. When you consider that there are many social media platforms, it becomes even easier to find one for you. Digital literacy is also effective at finding options, even if it's as simple as Googling. So those numbers that I was referring to earlier will be made up of the young who will be really skillful and knowledgeable, as well as making valid, legitimate, and useful digital contents. Some final comments. Who should then be the ones to disseminate digital literacy? I'm glad AYO is doing this program, and I hope AYO will continue to do that mission. So the answer is it's in your hands, the hands of the youth. You know why? Because you are all the ones with the technological know-how. You are the generation that has contributed to the speed of technology. You are the ones that have added to the numerous numbers of technology users, including those that belong to the social media platforms. I would, however, like to admit that many of my generation are the ones with the technological gap. On this note, may I give you a bit of motherly advice? Please be gentle with the older generations who often come to you, maybe not only once, not twice, but many times, to ask how it is to navigate our way in using technological ways. So I'm here to learn from all of you about how technology will work to create a better world for all of us, especially for the youth, as the generation of the present and the future. And as a member of society, the youth also has a responsibility as agents of change. So good luck to all of you. Last but not least, I am really happy and proud of AYO in hosting this important event and will focus on this particular session on digital technology. as the saying that you have put on your video earlier is, together we can, hand in hand, make a better world. Thank you. Stay safe, healthy, and sane. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your kind and also insightful opening remark as well. It is very greatly appreciated. And also, I spotted, I noted the important message in the last stay sane because in this world right now, it is very difficult and also challenging for us to maintain our mental health. Well, once again, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for joining us today. It's been an honor for all of us in AYO to have you in our session. The next one, before we proceed, I would like to invite all the speakers to turn on your camera and have a group photo session. And later, the project development team will help you to take the screenshot. Okay, may I over to my team, Brian, to take the screenshot.
Thank you, honorable speakers and all the participants. We are now proceed to the photo sessions. So allow me to lead the photo sessions on my mark. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Over to you, Handi.
Thank you, Afrian, for taking the photo session. So we will proceed to the next session. Now we will begin with the discussion. To start out, I want to further introduce our first speaker, Ms. Dia from the CFDS. Ms. Dia is a lecturer at the Communication Department of Universitas Gadjah Mada in Indonesia. She serves as the Executive Director of the Center for Digital Society or the CFDS. And she is interested in conducting research which examines the interplay between technology and strategic communications, including digital literacy, content governance, and crisis communication. Prior to joining the university as a lecturer, she worked as an assistant brand manager for a multinational FMCG company in Indonesia. Ms. Dia will give the presentation on the importance of digital literacy skills for young people in facing a more competitive digital era. So without further ado, Ms. Dia, the screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Handi. Very good afternoon to Her Excellency Bu Artauli Tobing and all participants who are joining today's sessions. First of all, I would like to thank AYDF committee for inviting CFDS, Center for Digital Society, and for having me here. I believe you've been doing a great job. We have around 600 participants here, very big number, and I'm nervous because looking at the huge numbers. I'm very excited to share and discuss the topic on digital literacy. I believe what I will be sharing next pretty much resonates with what Her Excellency has shared at the beginning of this session. Please allow me to share my screen because I have a brief PowerPoint presentations for today. Okay, just a moment. Okay. Yeah, just a brief about CFDS. CFDS stands for Center for Digital Society. We are a research organization under the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Gadjah Mada, Indonesia. So as you can see from the name, our research focuses on the issue of the impact of the social and political impacts of technology advancements, especially in the case of Indonesia. If you are interested in reading some of our works are published in popular language, both in Bahasa Indonesia and also in English. If you are interested in reading some of our works, please go to our website. It is available for free and can also be downloaded for free. Or if you have some collaboration ideas in mind, please also feel free to let us know through our email or social media channels. I'm going to begin my session with this one famous quote from Alex Ross, the one who wrote the book The Industries of the Future. So in his book, Alex wrote that many people in the Industrial Revolution era 4.0 will gain. Some will gain hugely, but many will also be displaced. I believe this quote resonates very well with the current situation that we are facing. If we look at the first phrase about some will gain hugely. If you look at the Forbes top 10 richest people in the world, you may see that at least 4 out of these 10 people are those who are owning or work for technology company. Let's say we are talking about Bill Gates with his Microsoft. We are talking about Jeff Bezos with Amazon. We are also talking about Larry Page and Sergey Brin with Google. And of course, Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. However, again, technology is not all about the sun and rainbows, but it also poses some challenges that we need to face, not just today, but also for tomorrow. For youth like you all, in the future, the World Economic Forum predicts that there will be some jobs that can easily be displaced by machines. And therefore, having or upgrading your competencies, especially digital literacy competencies, will be very important to secure not just job, but also to navigate your way in the future. So I'd like to bring you back to around 15 or 20 years ago. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with these pictures, with these photos here, but I'd like to bring some nostalgic moments. I remember that my first encounter with the internet was around, I think it's around 20 years ago, back when I was in elementary school. I remember that my parents only allowed me to access the internet during the weekend. So I was only allowed to access the internet for 1 hour on Saturday and 2 hours on Sunday. Why? There are two reasons. The first one, because the cost was quite pricey. In order to be able to access like internet for 1 hour, you had to pay for $1 or $2 US. It's maybe cheap now, but if you think about it was happening back 20 years ago, it was quite pricey for me. And then the second reason was because in order to be able to access the internet, you could not access the fixed home telephone, because at that moment the internet was connected to the home telephone. Therefore, you had to choose. If you wanted to use the internet, you couldn't use the home telephone. And then fast forward, I was doing a student exchange back in 2010, 2011. I was doing student exchange in Japan, and I remember that the only way for me to keep in touch with my parents or with my boyfriend at that time was through emails or Skype video call. WhatsApp has already been invented, but not all smartphones were compatible with WhatsApp, of course. And WhatsApp, they did not have this video or video call or call features. And therefore, again, the only way for me to connect with my family in Indonesia was through Skype. And again, it was quite pricey, because for having like 10 minutes of video call, you had to pay around $6 or $7 US. So it was more convenient and cheaper for me to connect with my family through email. Another picture about the internet cafe, I don't know if it's still available in your country, but again, when I was in my college days, when I wanted to access journals or when I wanted to apply for a student exchange program, I had to go to the internet cafe, because again, I did not have my home internet connection, and it was all too pricey. When I had my first job, I had also to, it took a lot of time to persuade my boss. It took a lot of time to persuade my finance controller to invest in social media channels. But today, everything changes. I think almost all brands are having social media channels. All of you are having smartphones. All of you are having home internet access. We're not just talking about this slow and this slow or small modem, but we are talking about 4G or even 5G connectivity now. So technology, it disrupts our life heavily. It disrupts the way we consume things. It disrupts the way we interact with others. These are some of the characteristics that technology brings, especially the social media brings, that disrupt our life. The first one, we are now living in the networked world. We are open to global networking, enable collaboration and participations from people across the world. Can you imagine like 10 or 15 years ago, if the AYDF committee wanted to gather as many people as what we have today, they had to pay a lot of money because they had to pay for the venue, they had to pay for the flight tickets, they had to pay for the meals, they had to pay for transportation, accommodation, and many other things. But today, within only one click, boom, here we are. We have more than 600 participants. We can discuss digital literacy from countries across Southeast Asia or even beyond. The second one is stimulation. I know that especially COVID-19, it forced us to accelerate digital transformation. We cannot be detached from our smartphones. We cannot be detached from internet access. We Are Social, there is a research from We Are Social mentioning that youth in Indonesia in average spend at least 8 hours and 30 minutes online. They spend 8 hours and 30 minutes accessing internet. And out of those hours, they spend like 3 hours or more to access social media. Can you imagine 8 hours and 30 minutes is already 1/3 of our day. I'm not sure if you have enough sleep, if you already spend those a lot amount of time in social media. But that social media, that technology, it forces us to stay there, to use them as long as possible. The third trend is the media convergence. All information is now available in one easy click. If you want to see this webinar, you just have to open Zoom in your smartphone. If you get bored, you can just go to YouTube, or you can open Netflix to find some interesting videos of, or if you wanted to know more about digital literacy, you can Google it. It's within one easy click. Again, imagine 10 or 15 years ago, if you want to watch movie, you had to go to the cinema. If you want to find information, you have to subscribe for newspaper. If you want to, let's say, have discussion with your friends, you have to be gather and do face-to-face interaction. But today, all changes, all of the information, everything you want to do, you can do it within just one easy click. The fourth one is interactivity. Of course, technology enables us to interact, forgetting about the demographical borders, and also anonymity. I asked my students, they said that almost all of them have more than one account on their social media. They say that one is the official account where they follow like IWO, or where they follow current news, and the other one is for fun. Of course, social media or technology enables us to be anonymous, enable us to say whatever we want, enable us to be free in expressing our opinion. But you have also to be careful. You have to know the limits. You have to know how can you limit yourself so you do not hurt or harm others. And then the last one is hypertextuality. Information has no limit. If you open your TikTok, if you open your Facebook account, you keep on scrolling down, there will be no end to information. What I want to say is changes are inevitable. Now, I believe that you are all familiar with all of these phrases: big data, AI, IoT, Internet of Things, and cloud computing. All of these things, all of this technology brings us convenience. It makes our life a lot easier. If you want to store huge file, just go to your cloud. If you want to let's say turn on your television, you want to turn on your air conditioner, you don't have to you do not have to grab the remote, you just have to use your smartphone, for example. If you want to go shop, you just have to open that online e-commerce, and all of the recommendations are there. Those are because the advancement of technology. It makes our life a lot easier. It makes our life a lot more interactive than before. However, you've got to be careful. Of course, all of the advancement of technology comes with consequences. For example, the first one is cybercrime. It can happen to anyone, not only me, not only you, but also people around us. Most of the cybercrime has no target, in the sense that usually they're trying to break into a system and get as many data as possible. So they're not attacking me as Dia personally, but they are attacking, for example, the online platform where I used to go to, and then trying to grab as many data as possible. The second one, you also have to be careful with what you are saying in social media. People used to say that you've got to be careful with your mouth, but now you've got to be careful with your fingers, because sometimes your fingers type faster than what you think. Sometimes you do not realize that what you're saying on social media is actually hurting people, and therefore you've got to be careful. You have to act like you have to treat people the way you want to be treated. And then the last one is about disinformation. We know that we are now able to assess a lot of information. However, we also need to be able to verify which information is right, which information is wrong, when should we distribute or when should we forward the information. The World Health Organization, or WHO, are saying that today, in the era of COVID-19, we're not just fighting against the pandemic itself, but we are also fighting with disinformation. We are fighting with disinfodemic, wrong information about the pandemic. And this disinfodemic is as dangerous as the pandemic itself. Therefore, I would like to say that technology, it poses some opportunities, but at the same time, it also poses some challenges. But also, one thing for sure, it also changes the way we interact, the way we consume. It changes many aspects of our life. It changes the way we work. It changes the knowledge and skill which are required for our future jobs. These are some surveys from the World Economic Forum. In their report, in their published report back into 2020, they mentioned that there will be a job that will create a higher demand in the future, like 5 or 10 years from now. But there will be also job which will be easily displaced by machine. On the left side, on the blue sign, you can see the emerging jobs, the job that will create high demands in the future. You can see that all of the jobs are heavily connected with data. For example, data analysts, big data specialists, until business development professionals. And on your right side, on the brown sign, you can see that some jobs that may be easily displaced by machine. This job is usually a redundant job, and therefore sometimes include a lot of paperwork and can easily be learn and therefore displaced by machine. The question is, what if I'm working at this field? What if I'm working as accountant? Or what if currently I'm studying one of these fields? What if I'm studying accounting? What if I'm studying human resource, for example? No worries, of course. It is not, of course, there will always be a challenges to be there. Of course, there will be challenges to enter the job market. However, that is why digital literacy becomes more important. And aside from digital literacy, it is also very important for you to upgrade your soft skill. What are those soft skills? For example, analytical skill, critical thinking skill, the ability to work in group, your leadership skills. Those are the skills that you also need to acquire in order to be able to compete in the next or in the future job market. Now, back to the digital literacy. What is digital literacy? UNESCO defines digital literacy as the ability to access, manage, understand, integrate, communicate, evaluate, and create information safely and appropriately through digital technologies for employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurship. So having digital literacy competencies is not only about being able to access internet. It's not only doesn't mean that digital literacy competence is not only able to access the internet or open social media accounts or accessing your smartphone. It is more than that. It is your ability also to understand information, whether you understand this information is correct or wrong. You understand how to use this information to benefit yourself and also people around you. It also means to integrate information. We know that because the excessive use of technology, we are flooded with information, and therefore it is your it is your ability to be able to integrate. How should I pick this information? Which information is important for me in this situation? How should I integrate information that I read yesterday with information that I read today to help me to make a decision? That is also part of digital literacy. Another dimension of digital literacy is your ability to communicate, not only to sending messages to others, but also how to send the right messages, how to send message that will create impact to the target audiences, how to send message that will not hurt people or harm others. It also part of digital literacy competence. Other competencies also including evaluate and create information. So again, not only receiving information, not only reading information, but also making assessment. Which information is correct, which information is not, and if it is correct, should I distribute information to others? And if not, should I let's say find the right information and send the right information to the others, and etc. And also about creating information. So not just only assessing social media, but also creating information through social media. And UNESCO also in their report found that many countries, actually almost all countries that they are assessing are actually having their own dimension of digital literacy. For example, some countries refer digital literacy as ability to operate computer, or ability to access ICT, information and communication technology, or some countries also refer digital literacy as information literacy, the ability to find information and use information to create or to make decision making. And then the last one is media literacy. Again, media literacy is your ability to use media to find information and to help you create better decision making. So there are a couple of definition of digital literacy, but what I want to emphasize here is digital literacy consists of several dimensions, which is your ability to access, your ability to manage, understand, integrate, communicate, evaluate, and eventually create information. Next, this is some digital literacy competence by UNESCO. The first one is ability to operate software and hardware. I believe all of you are already familiar with this. At least you are able to turn on and turn off your computer. You are able to write in Microsoft Word. You are able to use your smartphone. The second variable is information and data literacy. Again, is how to find the right information and how to use that information to help you to navigate your life. And then the third is communication and collaboration, how to use digital technologies to help you communicate and collaborate with others, like what we are having at the moment, how AYDF communicate their events, how they ask people to collaborate, and here we are today talking about digital literacy. The fourth is digital content creation. I know that many of you probably are aspired to be a content creator, and that is one part of digital literacy competence that you should acquire, because it's very important. Digital technology enables us not only to be a passive audiences, but also to be an active users. And therefore, having ability to create content which will benefit others will be very beneficial in the future. And then cybersecurity, how to keep yourself and others safe in online environment. And then problem solving, in the sense that when you are faced with several questions, you will be able to find, or you will be able to solve the problems by looking at data, by looking at information from the internet. And then the last one is work-related competencies. So UNESCO also mentioned that aside of these general competencies, you also are expected to be able to acquire competencies which are work-related. For example, I work in the field of communication. Therefore, it is beneficial for me to understand how media works, how social media monitoring works. Other examples, if you are working for mining industry, for example, it is also important for you to understand how technology helps the mining industries to develop, how data helps the mining industries to leverage their business, for example. So those are what UNESCO call as work-related competencies. And these are some of the skills, aside from the technical skills, that also important for you to acquire in order to be able to compete in the future. The first one is analytical thinking, and then active learning, complex problem solving. You can read it by yourself, until the last one, number 15, persuasion and negotiation. My students often ask to me, Miss Dia, how can I shape, or how can I gain all of these skills? The number one answer is, of course, you cannot be excellent in all of these skills. However, you have to know in which skills you are excellent and which skill you need to get better. And how do you do it? Of course, when my best advice for my student is by involved in real life challenges, to be involved in human interaction. For example, by joining organization, by getting into some competencies, by working for, by doing internship, but the line is to have a real life experiences. Why? Because when you interact with others, when you interact with humans, you will be exposed to a lot of complex problem, and there you can acquire these skills. There you will be asked to use this skill to help them to solve the problem. For example, where you join organization and you take part in one of their activities, you will be asked to do 1, 2, 3. You will be asked to do this or that. There you can, of course, enhance your active learning skills. You can also enhance your creativity skill. You can also enhance your leadership skills. So my best advice for you is go and find as many as real life experiences as possible while you are still studying in universities, because this is the moment of your life where you can be whatever you want, where you can do anything you want, especially in the era of technology. Again, we talk about borderless world here.
Miss Dia, you have 1 more minute.
Oh, thank you, Handi. This is my last slide. But again, digital literacy is not an easy task. I believe that governments around the world are facing similar challenges. For example, in Indonesia, in Southeast Asian country, we are still facing the digital divide or uneven distribution to information and communication technologies, which are caused by several reasons. For example, the demographic factors. Those who live in rural or suburban areas usually have less access to internet compared to those who live in the city. We are also talking about the age gap here. Those who are younger usually have a better grasp of technology compared to those who are older. And we are also talking about the level of education and level of income here, because those who have a lower income, usually they will have lower access to technology and therefore has a lower digital literacy index. And then the second challenge is to change the non-users' perception. We know, at least in my country, in Indonesia, there are a lot of people who are still not have access to the internet. And one of the main problems is because their perception that internet is very difficult to learn. And therefore, changing this non-user perception is also challenges for many countries. The third challenges that I want to highlight here is how to enhance multi-stakeholders collaboration. We're not just talking about the governments here, but how can we also ask universities, for example, how can we ask private organization, how can we ask youth organization like AYO to mainstream these issues? So these are still become the challenges in how can we boost, in how can we ensure inclusive digital literacy for all. I guess that's all, Handi, from my side. These are some of CFDS website and social media channel. Please feel free to go to one of our social media channels and let us know what you think about digital literacy. Thank you so much, Handi.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dia, for your very insightful presentation. I noted some of the points that technology disrupts our way of communication a lot with the society. Especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. And also digital literacy also means the capacity how to access, manage, and understand, integrate, communicate, evaluate, and create information safely and appropriately. And I hope that all these participants here are aware of that and can also try to think and consider some of the challenges that have been mentioned by Ms. Tia at the end of the session before. The digital divide, changing non-users' perception, enhancing multi-stakeholders collaboration. So it's been a very great presentation from Ms. Tia earlier. So thank you once again, Ms. Tia, for the insightful presentation. And we will proceed to the next session, the second session. We have heard a lot from Ms. Tia before, so let's dig deeper into our webinar topic. The next presentation will be delivered by Ms. Candice Lau. Ms. Candice is an education associate at the UNICEF Vietnam, where she supports development, coordination, and implementation of adolescents learning and education programs. In particular, she supported the ASEAN Ministerial Conference on Digital Literacy in 2020 by introducing a youth survey on digital literacy of 8,000 young people aged 10 to 24 in ASEAN member states. She joined UNICEF in 2019 after she obtained a BA in English Studies. Previously, she worked as a youth program facilitator for NGOs and schools in Vietnam, New Zealand, and also Hong Kong. So Ms. Candice will enrich our knowledge more specifically on key findings from the UNICEF report, Digital Literacy in Education Systems Across ASEAN. So Ms. Candice, you may have the screen for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Handy. So let me share my screen. I hope all of you can see it. It's a challenge to my digital literacy now. Okay, I hope now you can see it. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to this important webinar. And thank you so much for Ms. Tia for your insightful presentation. I think it really helped to set the ground for this webinar and also to showcase what digital literacy really means and brings to young people. And I think as part of UNICEF, we really strongly believe that digital literacy is something needed for every young people, including everyone, irrespective of your background or your social economic status. Everyone should be equipped with digital literacy. So today I want to bring you some key insights and opinion from young people based on the survey that we have conducted previously during an ASEAN conference, so that we know what young people are actually thinking now and how we can move this agenda forward. So I want to start my presentation by telling you a very lovely story. I have a privilege to visit one of the remote mountainous areas in Vietnam, which is called Lào Cai. It's a province with high population of ethnic minority and is relatively remote compared to a lot of cities. And I went there with my colleagues to monitor our augmented virtual reality project. You can see that the kids here, they are using the laptop and then they are trying to see the augmented reality on showing on the laptop. And then I have the chance to meet Na. She's the girl on the far right. And it is actually her first time to ever touch a tablet and also her first time to try augmented reality. And it was very touching to me because she just could not hide her smile and also could not hide the spark in her eye. And she quickly mastered the technology so quickly that she can even teach her fellow student how to do it. And I said that it's a touching moment for me because I think that a lot of us online today, we have the privilege of accessing technology that a lot of people don't have. And as young people, I think that we really have to look into this aspect that what can we do as young people to address this kind of digital divide if our future is only limited to a certain number of people, that will be a challenging situation for all of us today. And I want to show you the situation by showing you one video. Please give me a minute. Another challenge to my digital skill. I hope you can see the screen and sound.
สวัสดีครับผมชื่อเด็กชายอันดาตุ้มบุญครับบ้านผมอยู่เขตมีนบุรีอยู่โรงเรียนวัดแสนสุขครับผมเรียนรู้ได้เยอะจากอินเทอร์เน็ตเพราะอินเทอร์เน็ตบางทีก็หาข้อมูลไม่ได้เลยไปหาอินเทอร์เน็ตและอินเทอร์เน็ตก็บอกข้อมูลที่เกี่ยวกับข้อความที่เราหาอยู่ครับเราจะรู้ได้ว่าเราจะต้องไปหาข้อมูลเพิ่มให้เยอะกว่านี้ในอินเทอร์เน็ต
Cô con tên là Hoàng Thị Duyên ạ. Con học ở lớp 10 Văn 2 ở trường Trung học phổ thông chuyên Lê Hồng Phong. Con thích đi học. Con học cách sử dụng internet qua việc học ở trên lớp ạ.
พ่อแม่ของผมใช้อินเทอร์เน็ตเป็นครับพ่อแม่ผมใช้เล่นเฟซเล่นโทรศัพท์มือเล่นเกมบ้างครับ
Dạ, nhà con không có internet. Con nghĩ là bố mẹ con không biết sử dụng internet. Nếu như mà ngoài giờ học thì nếu mà muốn sử dụng internet thì con phải viết đơn xong rồi là xin phép thầy dạy tin thì mới có thể sử dụng được. Có tuần thì con được sử dụng một lần, còn có tuần là có 2 tiết tin nhưng mà chỉ học lý thuyết ở trên lớp thôi.
อยู่ที่โรงเรียนใช้คอมพิวเตอร์เฉพาะปีที่แล้วครับเพราะว่าปีนี้มีสถานการณ์โควิด -19 ครับเขาให้อยู่ห่างกัน1 เมตรเลยไม่ได้ใช้คอมพิวเตอร์ครับ
Trong dịch Covid vừa rồi thì nhà trường không mở dạy trực tiếp ở trên lớp thì nhà trường có tổ chức là dạy qua trực tuyến thì con cũng đi ra nhờ bác để học nhờ. Mỗi lần muốn sử dụng internet thì con đi ra nhà bác chắc cũng tầm 20 đến 25 phút. Hiện tại ở lớp 10 mỗi khi cô giao bài tập thì cô chỉ giao ở trên sách vở thôi ạ. Còn nếu như mà con muốn mở rộng thêm kiến thức là phải dùng đến internet. Khi mà con không có internet thì mà các bạn không có thì con nghĩ là càng lên cao thì kiến thức sẽ càng nhiều và lúc đấy là con sẽ khó theo kịp được các bạn hơn.
I think what's really unique about this next generation is the fact that they have the internet and they have access to so much knowledge. Creating more accessible IT educational programs would be really interesting to somehow remarket STEM within the educational system to make it less male dominated, potentially adding in more projects that, focus a little bit more on including women in some way. Creating a more accessible IT curriculum and more accessible IT education would be very helpful. So a lot of our job in Generation Girl isn't just to inspire the girls themselves, but to also inspire their parents, their siblings, and the people around them, so that they will help to encourage these girls to go into, these male-dominated fields and to succeed in them.
Nếu như muốn để thay đổi cuộc đời, con nghĩ là sẽ không cần đến sức mạnh kỳ diệu mà chỉ cần ở bản thân thôi ạ.
Okay, I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, let me share my screen again. All right. So I hope you enjoy this video, and what I want to say, oops. All right. What I want to say is that this digital divide in ASEAN country is a reality. And then as young people like us, what we can do is to really acknowledge this kind of divide and also think about how we can reach more people around our ASEAN countries and then try to tackle this digital divide together. And I want to show you one of our survey that we have done in UNICEF in collaboration with ASEAN during the ASEAN Conference on Digital Transformation of the Education System. And in this survey, we collected around 8,000 youth respondents from across ASEAN countries. And in this survey, we define digital literacy as the knowledge, skills, and attitude that allow children to be both safe and empowered in an increasingly digital world. So this the result of this survey is actually a part of the ASEAN conference to fit into this ministry conference and to showcase what are the opinions and key insights of young people in ASEAN, what are their experience with digital literacy and what they think about the digital future. And in this survey, we also collected the information on sex, age, and where they are, and also their ethnicity, in order to investigate what are some of the intersectionality of characteristics that respondents have, and what is the relationship with the answer that they provided. So I want to acknowledge that this survey is not rigid one, meaning that it's only a survey to collect opinions of youth. So you may see that the responses from youth participants vary across some countries. Some countries may have higher respondents than the others. And also want to acknowledge that this survey is an online survey, meaning that only people who have access to internet will be able to take this survey. So I would like to say that a further investigation into this issue would be very much needed in order to have a better understanding of some of these areas that I will point out later. So I want to bring you to the key findings, but before that, I want to know among the participants here, what is your perspective or your own digital literacy? So let me share my poll here. So sorry for those who are joining on Facebook who may not have access to this poll. I hope now you are able to see the poll and I can see the answer keep coming. So this question is asking you to rate your own digital literacy skill. So as I mentioned, digital literacy means the ability and the skill to navigate the digital world. And 1 means very poor and 5 mean excellent. So what do you think about your digital literacy skill? Do you think you have excellent digital literacy skills or relatively poor? Okay, I see a lot of answers coming, so I'll give like 5 more seconds. Okay, so let me share the results with you. Okay, you see that I think majority, 45% of you think that score your digital literacy as 4, which is quite good actually. And then like it's a relatively, actually no one think that you have very poor digital literacy skill, which is good, congratulations. I think that a lot of participants here have really good digital literacy skill. And let me go back to my presentation. So let's see if our respondent of our survey actually think the same. So one of our key findings, the first one, is that a lot of young people who responded to the survey think that digital literacy is important for their future, but not all of them think they have good digital literacy skill. So I think among the participants here, you have relatively good digital skills, but not all the respondents to our survey think the same way. We see that 68% of the respondents think that they have average or below rating to their digital skills. And we see a huge disparity of digital literacy exists between LDC, which is least developed countries, and non-LDC country. So if you look at the green bar here, we see that non-LDC have higher weight. They're more likely to rate themselves as more competent in terms of digital literacy. And we also see that, for example, if we compare LDC, we can see that, for example, Myanmar have lower rating than Laos and Cambodia. And among non-LDC, we see that Singapore is one of the highest, followed by Malaysia and Brunei. So also following the geographical disparity, we also find that depending on your background, there could be a huge differences. So in our finding, we find that rural ethnic minority respondent and those between 15 to 24 years old actually lag behind their urban and non-minority and younger peers in terms of digital literacy. So if you compare urban, rural, ethnic minority, and non-ethnic minority, as well as the age range, you can see that there is a disparity on how they rate their digital literacy skill, and it really depends on your background, your socioeconomic status, and also your age, where you live, really makes a huge difference. And the second finding from this survey is that the main reason why young people think digital literacy is important is that it helps them to develop other skills and also help them to learn better. So you can see these are the two top reasons. And then we can see the other reason, for example, like becoming an active member of community and to prepare for job market, as well as feeling confident and empowered and staying safe and protected online are less mentioned by the respondents. And it may be an implication that how young people nowadays define digital literacy, and also is actually pose a question of how we can define it as a more comprehensive package. We need to mention digital literacy as more than the technological know-how, but also to include being safe online and also having the ability to distinguish facts on the internet, etc., etc. So the third finding we find is that there is a huge divide in assessing digital literacy education in school. We find that 61% of young people were not learning digital skills in school, meaning that like among 5 people, 3 people are not learning any digital skill in school, which is a big challenge. And then at the same time, we can see a huge divide between LDC and non-LDC countries. You see that, for example, Singapore, Malaysia will have higher weights than the others, while LDC countries struggle behind. At the same time, we can see that even though you are from a non-LDC country, you may not be so satisfied with the quality of digital literacy education that you're receiving, because we see that only the Singaporean respondent are giving very positive review of the education curriculum, meaning that we actually need to look at both access and also the quality of the education so that we can really make huge changes in terms of equipping young people with digital literacy. So the fourth finding is that we will also want to find out if young people are looking in their personal life, whether they are really developing their digital literacy skill intentionally. So we ask them what they do outside of the school environment. And then most of them say that actually over half of them think that they search on the internet. And then we also see that, for example, like other hobbies, like using your phone and going to social media, etc. But then we also find that around 12% said that they do not actively develop any digital skills. And then another point to note is that how this ways of learning from friends and learning from parents really different. Because I really think that, like, for myself, if I have any technological problem, I probably will not reach out to my parents. I will first reach out to my friend first. And I think it should be the same for a lot of you online today. So I think it's very important to think about how we can also raise awareness across different generations and also parents. What are the role we can play as young people to teach our parents that actually this is very important to us, and to really have this, as Ms. Dia have mentioned, we really need everyone on board to facilitate this digital literacy education. So the last finding, we find that young people, we ask them what are the challenges when they are accessing digital literacy. And we find that a lot of them say that they have no access to technological devices. And they said that school offer little or no training, or that the school training are not good enough or of good qualities. And we can see that all of these challenges actually point to both the software and the hardware of digital literacy education. So when we talk about education, we really need to talk about both access and quality. So the last one, we asked them, what are your recommendations for gaining digital literacy? And then a lot of them say that teachers or parents should allow students more time to practice and to provide students with more access to technological devices, and also to teach digital literacy for all ages. And I think this is very important because now a lot of the younger cohort of young people think that they have better digital literacy than the older cohort. And then we really have to balance it. And then we really have to start teaching it from a young age so that you have a good, better foundation for progression to your secondary school or primary school, so that you have a better foundation for your future learning. So
sorry, Miss Candace, you have 5 more minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now I'm going to the summary part. I want to show you one of the program that UNICEF is doing together with SAP, which is a software company. Actually, in Vietnam, the internet coverage is pretty good compared to a lot of countries. But then the problem is that in a lot of remote mountainous area, they still have a lack of internet access and also access to devices. So that's why our UNICEF together with SAP help the government in developing a national digital literacy framework, so that in school they can really incorporate digital literacy into everything that they are doing. And we also co-create and pilot augmented and virtual reality program, which is the story I referred to at the beginning of my presentation, the story of Na and how she benefited from this program. And for a lot of, this is really a touching moment, because a lot of marginalized students, they have never ever have the privilege to buy this kind of technology. And lastly, we also raw teacher training, because we think that teacher is a cornerstone of everything that we involve in school. And then if they have a good awareness and skill, we can really roll them forward and put this agenda forward. So I think for our young participant today, what we can think about is how, after knowing all this digital divide, how can we do to help to bridge it? And what we can do as young people to educate our peers, our parents and teachers, the importance of digital literacy, and how we support overall the policy making in the digital transformation of the education system. Whether you know that if your country is doing anything in this area, or you know that what are the channels that you can voice your opinion, and last but not least, in your personal life, what are the things that you can do to equip yourself with digital literacy. So thank you so much for listening to me. If you want further information, please go to this QR code or the link. This is the full report of the survey if you are interested. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Candice, for the very amazing presentation. I really love the video and the story that you mentioned at the beginning of your presentation. And I also noted some of the problems or challenges that might still, be faced by students or maybe youth across ASEAN is uneven internet access, as well as the large divide in accessing digital literacy education in schools. So those are two main problems that I noted from your presentation. Of course, we do hope that the situation will get better. Especially, we need to thank this pandemic situation as well, rather than complaining, because this pandemic situation has, brought really positive developments and advancement towards the use of ICT at the times of pandemic situation. So, thank you once again, Ms. Candice, for your amazing presentation. Let me begin with the Q&A session. So for this Q&A session, we have three selected questions from the chat box. First of all, my apologize that we could not really accommodate all of your questions, but should your questions are not selected, please feel free to reach to Miss Dia or maybe to Miss Candice for more answer. If you want to find your answer after this session. So the first question is from Azahra Divya Putri from UPN VJT Indonesia. Do you want to ask your question yourself, or is it okay for me to deliver the question to the speakers? May I invite Ms. Azahra Divya Putri? I think you can unmute yourself right now if you want to ask the question. If not, I will address the question to the speakers. So the question is, to serve on social media and participate in events even requires high self-confidence. My question is how to overcome lack of confidence from ourselves when participating in events like digital events or virtual events like this. So I let the speakers to begin. Maybe Ms. Dia, you want to start?
Okay, thank you for the question, Azahra. So how to be more confident when joining a web conference? I think one of the ways to do it is to have preparations. So for example, in order for me to present my presentation here, I have to first, of course, making the slide and prepare all the materials that I need to share. When I have preparation time, I will become more confident because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm going to deliver. So that's first, having preparation. And then the second one is to get used to it, in the sense that it's okay if you're not confident in your first event, but then you learn from it. You learn from other participants. How can they be confident, what they are doing, or what kind of skills they're having. And from there, you can learn from other participants, and perhaps on your third, fourth, or 10 webinars, you will be getting more confidence. And the third is, I think this is more emotional, but please believe in yourself. So that is very important, because sometimes you judge yourself harsher than others do. So please, first of all, believe in yourself, and you'll get there. I think that's from me, Handi.
Thank you, Ms. Dia, for your answer. Ms. Candice, do you want to add something, or do you have something in mind for additional?
I think Ms. Dia already mentioned all the good points, and I just want to add that I think as young people, please be fearless. I mean, like, we make mistakes all the time, but it doesn't matter really. We can always start again. We can always try again. So be confident in yourself. Even though we fail, it's okay. We learn again, and we grow together. So that's it from my side.
Thank you so much, Ms. Candice and Ms. Dia, for your responses to the question, the first question. So moving on to the next question, I would like to invite Johannes Arya from Universitas Katolik Sugia Pranata, Indonesia. Do you want to address the question yourself, or do you want me to address the question to the speakers? Johannes Arya. Do we have Johannes Arya?
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, please.
I have some question. If someone believes a hoax, how do you tell them? Thank you.
Okay, so maybe Miss Candice, can I invite you first to answer the question? The question is, if someone believes a hoax, how do we tell them, to let them know about it?
So I think this is a very specific questions, and I think like I don't have like any specific step at this stage to tell you what you can do. But I think at the end of the day that's why we say that digital literacy is very important, because like it really helps you to like distinguish facts and also to see what how do you navigate information on the internet. So I think that maybe what you can try to do is to together with a person to try to find some ways to join some courses and also get some information on digital literacy, which specifically targeting like information and communication. So I hope that will help.
Okay, thank you, Miss Candice, for your answer. Maybe I'm moving to Miss Dia if you have any additional comments to that.
Yeah, it is a very common question, especially how to address if that person who spread a hoax or fake news is way older than us. So my very first advice is do not blindly blame them, especially when you interact with them in a group that involve a lot of people, involve families, for example, or involves workmates, for example. Because by blaming them, it will corner them, and it may make them reluctant to clarify the hoax, for instance. So first rule is do not blindly blame them. And then the second one is you also have to see the connection, your connection with them, in the sense that are you close with them? Are you close enough to tell them in person that, hey, you are sharing hoax and therefore you have to clarify the information? Or are they older than you? Then you have to think about other ways. For example, if they are way older than you, you may ask your parents to do it, or you may ask those who are who they respect to do it. So please see your connection and your relation with them. Of course, you're not going to say that to your boss, for example, hey boss, we are saying the wrong things, you have to manage your work, for example. And then the third one is to provide the clarification, not by saying what you are thinking is right, but by providing the right sources. For example, when we talk about COVID-19, we have formal or official sources from the authorities. You can share and show them the you can show them the sources and provide them with the right information. I think those are the 3 steps that I suggest to do when someone believes or spread hoax.
Thank you so much, Miss Dia, for the answer. So I'm moving to the third question from Don Mai Gia Khan. I'm so sorry if I pronounce it not in a correct way. Do you want to address the question to the speakers by yourself, or is it through the moderator? From Hoa High School. Okay, then I will be addressing the questions to the speakers. So do you think, do we have the person who asked the question? All right, then I will address the question directly. Do you think the problem-solving skills is skill beneficial with the advent of human intelligence? So it's a kind of a tough question to answer. So maybe you want to answer first, Miss Dia, or?
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Handi. Yeah, indeed, it is a very tough question to answer. So the question is problem solving, how important it is compared to artificial intelligence. Of course, problem solving is very important because problem solving is not only about finding information or having information at hand, but also how to analyze the information. For example, we are talking about big data at the moment, but big data has no meaning if you cannot analyze it, if you don't know what you are looking for, if you don't know what you search in that data. For example, we talk about COVID-19, we have a lot of information, we have a lot of data at the moment. But again, what are you looking for? Which problem you're trying to solve? Without having the problem solving skills, you will not be able to analyze and therefore using the data that you are having to solve your problems. And therefore your ability to, again, analytical thinking, critical thinking, and problem solving skill is very important despite the advancement of artificial intelligence.
All right, thank you. Ms. Candace, do you want to add something?
Yes, what I want to add is that like critical thinking and all this communication skill, etc. They are we call it part of a transferable skill. We can also call it soft skill. And together with digital skills, they are a very important skill set for young people nowadays, because as we see AI developed and technology develop, we see that a lot of jobs are losing in the labor market. What really make us stand out as a candidate is that we have this kind of skills. And then to prove that, we actually have something over apart from the technology part. So actually is even though AI is developing very well, we really need that kind of skills in order for us to make use of that tools and then to not lose our competitiveness in the society and also to do social good in the future. So yeah, that's it from my side.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Candice, for the additional answer to the particular third question. So moving on, we still have more time to go before the end of this session. So I'd like to invite Mara Hizel Jane from the Philippines. If you want to address your question directly to the speaker, you may have the floor.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Please go ahead.
The online learning has affected my mental health. It's really depressing and I feel so much pressured. I know I am not the only one who feels this way. How can we develop ourselves and our knowledge by learning online without feeling confused of things on the internet? And how are we going to support our mental health as well? Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Maybe I'd like to over this question first to Ms. Candice, if you have something in mind to answer.
Yeah, so thank you so much for the questions. I think it's very relevant to all of us today now that we are all in some sort of situation of online learning, and we often feel the burns out of like Zoom fatigue and also too much online meeting and emails, etc. I really feel you and really feel that it's a very important issue that we have to raise together. So like in response to your question on how we can manage our mental health doing like when we're doing technological things online, I think that the first thing you should consider is to really set a time slot for yourself not to touch any technological device, that you need some time for you to reconnect to your family, your friends, and also have a walk around, and then try not to look at your messages, try not to have any meeting, etc. You really need that time to really separate yourself in the technological world and your real world. And that really helps with our mental health for me. And then I think the second point is really a mental support from your peers and also your families, especially during this difficult time that we're all in some sort of COVID-19 restriction. And then we really need this kind of support, like talk to your friends about what you're unhappy about what you're feeling tired about. And that ways it is really important to get to that, and also to really receive some positive energies, not from the devices, but from your peers and real people. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you, Ms. Candice. I'm very, I can feel you. More than 5 online meetings within a day in this moment. So yeah, it is our challenges together. So I would like to over to Miss Dia, if you have any additional answer.
Well, I think I totally agree with what Ms. Candice has mentioned. Take a break, some suggest social media detox. I think it's very important today. So yeah, please take a break and find support if you need it.
Yeah, that's right. And also me time is also, and retreat from the digital world is very important. Go to nature. I sometimes myself go to go to the park nearby, or maybe to go to the nature nearby, so I can just feel the freshness of our environment or air and so on. It would be very helpful.
I'm
Well,
jealous.
well, okay. I think we still have one more. We still have more time to address maybe two more questions. From Johanna Karen Sonas. I'm sorry to pronounce it wrong. From Newton International Academy. Do you want to address the question yourself, or is it okay if I address the question for you?
Oh, it's okay. I can address it. Hello,
Yeah,
can you
sure.
hear me?
Go ahead.
I can address the question.
Yeah, sure.
So I just like to ask, as the youth, is there anything we can do in order to increase the digital literacy in other ASEAN countries?
Thank you for the question. Maybe I let the speaker to begin. Who wants to begin first answering the question? Feel free.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, let me address the question first.
Yeah.
I think, to enhance the digital literacy skills in ASEAN countries, we need to look at two dimensions. The first one is on the individual level, and then the second one is on the country level. In individual level, of course, as youth, you have great asset for digital literacy. You live and grow up with technology even before you realize that you already know how to use the technology. Now, the next task is how to leverage this use of technology. Hence, it can be beneficial for you and people around you. If we look back at the variables that UNESCO has formulated about digital literacy, you see that there are at least 7 skills that you need to acquire. Now, practically, you can also assess yourself in which skill you already excel at and which skill you need to enhance. For example, let's say you already been able to operate software and your smartphone, but you have little knowledge in protecting yourself online, then you can read how to protect yourself online. Same things, you already know how to communicate and collaborate, but you only have little knowledge in operating software and hardware. That is your weak point, and there you can upgrade yourself. And then the second one is on the country level. For instance, of course, again, I will suggest the multi-stakeholders collaboration. At least in Indonesia, we are trying to push the government to embed digital literacy curriculum in national school across Indonesia, so that children across Indonesia can learn about digital literacy. Because currently in Indonesia, digital literacy is only being taught in university level, and the number of people who can go to university is very little. Therefore, national curriculum on digital literacy across schools all over the country will be very beneficial. And of course, the collaboration from youth organizations, from non-governmental organization and civil society group, and even private organization will also be very beneficial in enhancing digital literacy skills in ASEAN.
Thank you, Ms. Dia. This is what AYO is doing right now. We're trying to improve the digital literacy awareness. Thank you so much for the answer. Ms. Candace, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I just want to add like how you can turn your individual, maybe you have acquired certain digital literacy, how you can turn that and then make it relevant to the country level as well. I think that's also very important, how you engage with the national consultation process, and also how you engage in this policy making process, as well as how you engage with like youth organizations such as AYO is also very important. So let's think about how young people can do that by engaging in both your personal life, in your social life, in your school. What are the resources that are available? What are the organizations that are available? And see what are the channels that we can all contribute to this digital divide, because we really need the power of young people in really bringing us innovation, and also to address this divide across the ASEAN countries.
Thank you so much, Ms. Candace. I believe that all the participants here still have more questions to go, but unfortunately, we have a very limited amount of time. So thank you very much for everyone for being active and also engaged in our discussion. And I do hope that we got a lot of knowledge, a new insight, a new perspective from our great speakers today about this digital literacy. And I hope that you guys are more aware of it and maybe can help spreading the digital literacy issue and awareness in your community. So I would like, before I end the session, I would like to invite you to here I share screen. I'm sharing my screen to ask you guys to fill in the feedback form for today's session. You can go to bit.ly feedback AYDF, and also we have additional survey for you to fill. But this additional survey is not mandatory. But if you feel that you have time to answer this, please do so to help AYO to collect answer for this survey for our research. But this one is mandatory if you want to obtain an A certificate for your participation in AYDF. And the criteria is only those who participate in at least 2 AYDF events and fill in this feedback form will get the SE certificate circulated after the event. And please type your full name and email address correctly, as we will issue the certificate in accordance with your full name as stated in the feedback form. And the e-certificate will be sent to eligible participants through email in maximum 14 days after the webinar. So feel free to do so. I'm letting the screen for a while so you can have a photo or maybe screenshot through your mobiles if you want to fill in this feedback form. I'm giving you a bit of time again. I believe that some of the participants have go into the feedback form, and then maybe I can wait for another seconds. Please feel free to fill in this feedback form if you want to obtain or claim your certificate after this session, this webinar. But please be reminded that you need to attend at least 2 AYDF events in order to get the e-certificate. Thank you. All right, so I think I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Let me just open another one. Okay, I would like also to remind and inform you that following this series of events, webinars and workshops, we will conduct the AYDF focus group discussion to produce an ASEAN youth statement to be addressed to the ASEAN leaders. We do hope so we will able to do that. Participants are expected to voice your hopes or thoughts related to the topic to be of AYDF to be covered in the youth statement by filling up in the feedback form, especially in the last question. You can see there. We have also attached the example. So the focus group discussion will be conducted on 14th of August next week. So we will be in touch with you should you interested to join the FGD and to be involved in producing the ASEAN youth statement. Okay, so I would like to mention here again, if I may, about our partners. This is a kind of mandatory for AYO. So this AYDF event is supported by the ASEAN Chief Information Officer Association, ASEAN Human Development Organization, GRAB, Center for Digital Society, the National Council of Youth Organizations in Korea, Universitas Kristen Indonesia, Universitas Katolik Sedia Pranata, and Prince of Songkla University. Thank you for our partners in supporting this AYDF. So I think that's all that we have. It's been a very fruitful discussion for us today, and I'm so happy to moderate this session with you all. I do hope that this webinar could bring you positive energy, new insights, and deeper knowledge and awareness, especially on the topic of digital literacy. And for those of you who wish to watch this interesting discussion again, you may simply find it sooner on our Facebook page, ASEAN Youth Organization. And I would also like to remind you who have registered to AYDF sessions to attend our next session on cybersecurity today in 1 hour, 3:30 p.m. Jakarta time. And once again, thank you very much for your enthusiasm. And I do hope that you can participate again in our future events. See you in the next session, and let's hope that this pandemic will end very soon. And thank you, Ms. Candice and Ms. Tia, for interesting discussion and for your expertise and knowledge shared to the participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Handi, all the committee and all the participants. Thank you so much, Ms. Candice.
Thank you. See you in the next event and next collaboration. Thank you.